Hello there, makers. My name is Gideon, and welcome to my 3D printing routine. Wearing face masks has become necessary, but it's not without consequence. One of the problems people experience when wearing face masks is the pain they feel of the strap on the ears. So today, we're going to try and 3D print some ear savers. So what are ear savers? Ear savers are tiny plastic devices that are meant to protect the back of the ear from the strap of the face mask. This makes it more comfortable to wear face masks, especially when you're wearing them for a long time. So again, 3D printing is a form of making a solid three-dimensional object from a digital file. And that's how we're going to make our ear savers. So ear savers are actually very useful for everyone, especially frontliners, because they make it more comfortable and reduce the pressure of the face strap on the ear while you're wearing it. So there are a lot of designs available right now for free on the internet about these ear savers. So now that we've chosen our design, let's get to 3D printing it. And we're going to need filament. So filament is sort of like the ink that we use with 3D printing. They come in a variety of colors: red, blue, gold. They can even be transparent, glow in the dark, maybe even have some cool texture effects. But the important part is that we have the right filament for our job. And since we're printing ear savers, which are pretty disposable and only are worn for outdoor environments, something simple like PLA is a good example. It's cheap, easy to use, and it's easy to acquire. So ear saver design? Check. 3D printing filament? Check. 3D printer? Check. So now let's get on to 3D printing. So let me introduce you to our 3D printer, the Lulzbot Mini. So let's go over some basic parts of the 3D printer. So first we have our filament. So this is sort of like the ink that goes into our printer. Next, we have the extruder. So the extruder is where the filament goes inside and then comes out. Finally, we have the print bed. The print bed is where you do the actual printing process. And then finally, we have our cooling fans. The cooling fans make sure that the plastic turns solid into the shape that we want. So now that we've covered the basic parts of our 3D printer, let's go into preparing it for printing. So the first thing we're going to want to do is load our filament. So we do that by unlatching the extruder cover and threading the filament into the extruder itself. Just like that. And once it's done, we know that it's now extruding and loaded into the filament. Next thing we're going to do is make sure that the print bed is clean. So remove any unwanted particles. So the print bed is clean, the filament's loaded into the extruder, we can almost begin printing. But before that, let's check some do's and don'ts of 3D printing. First do, make sure you are in a safe environment. Make sure nothing is in the way of the printer during printing, and make sure that nothing is going to get caught between the extruder and parts of the machine. Don't touch the machine while it's in operation. Don't pull on the filament while it's doing its printing. Don't remove any parts of the printer. And of course, don't turn it off. That was a 100% sure way to stop your printing. So now that we finished our checklist before printing, let's move to the next step, which is preparing the file for print. So in preparing the file for printing, it's a process that we call slicing. So what is slicing? Slicing is when you take your digital shape and you slice it into layers that the 3D printer can read. So in this process, we use a specific program, which we call the slicer, to do that process for us. So moving to the program here on our computer, we can now load and specify the model as well as the settings we have for the printer, just like any other printer you have. So we'll move now to our computer. So here, we're going to switch to our software. And the software we're using right now is Lulzbot Cura. So on this software, I'm going to grab my model and load it into the program. From there, I'm going to configure what kind of filament we're using. Next, I'm going to configure what kind of print settings. So because we're printing a ear saver, which doesn't have to look nice, it just has to be comfortable and print fast, I'm going to choose the high speed setting, which means that it will print this as fast as it can. Okay, so now that I've checked the high speed settings, I will make sure that all the settings are correct, Okay, and I think we're good. So with all the settings correct, we can now press prepare. And in selecting prepare, the computer will now take the 3D model, analyze it, and cut it into layers, which will then be printed by the machine. So okay, it's done. So we will save our file, which is what you call G-code, or the language that the machine understands, and we will save it and transfer it to the machine for printing. And that's it. Now that we've selected the right settings on our software and we've saved it to a compatible format, we can begin the printing. And it's done. So we've waited about 20 to 30 minutes for this print to finish. Actually, we should be exact. We've waited exactly 24 minutes for this print to finish. And let me just remove it from the build plate. Okay, and we have an ear saver. So the final output is now this ear saver. So the design we picked, again, is very nice and simple to print. At the same time, these 3 sets of hooks allow us to change how tight we want the ear saver to be. So what better way to show you that it works than to show you that it works? So I have my mask, Generico Masco, onto the face, and oh, woe is me, my ear is irritated by such basic straps. So I will take our handy dandy ear saver, slip it to the back of my head, and shift the pressure from the back of my ear to the ear saver. And once I've done that, you'll see that the pressure is now off of my ear, and it's now on the ear saver, which is what we wanted. And that's essentially 3D printing. So what we've shown you right now is a basic overview of 3D printing and its routine. So again, you start from selecting your digital design, then you prepare the file on your software, then finally, you transfer the software and put the file into your printer, and then press the print button. So all in all, 3D printing can be very complex, but at its core, 3D printing is made to allow anyone to be able to make things. So the best part about this is that these digital designs can come from anywhere and from anyone. So if you enjoyed this and want to know more about 3D printing and other digital fabrication methods, be sure to follow Accelerating Makers. So again, my name's Gids, and thank you for sticking with me here on my 3D printing routine. See you guys!